There's only one thing that's running through my soul, and that
is. Hey, shout out to Josh Tucker for that live intro. Thank you so much for that intro. That was awesome. Look, this is the Crimson Dynasty. We are one of the shows here on the Bama Standard Network, and I'm the host. My name is C'Chi, but we have some awesome co-hosts, one of which is new to the Crimson Dynasty, but he's not new to the Bama Standard Network. So before I get started, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content. Like I mentioned, we have some great co-hosts here. I'll start out with Dan James IV. He's the lead recruiting analyst on the Bama Standard Network, and he also has a show that he's going to promote towards the end of this episode. But we also have JB. He's from our other show, Sunday Nights Talking Bama. And so he's not a new face to the network in and of itself, but he's our new co-host here on the Crimson Dynasty. So be sure to show some love in the live chat. Any questions that you may have, we're going to have our Q&A segment towards the end, but go ahead and start dropping questions in the chat, and we'll be sure to highlight them. Now, before we jump right in, I do have to recognize our newest sponsor, Lambstone Company. And we like to basically say that, you think about what you're looking for in terms of your home or just wanting to elevate your home. If you've ever dreamt of having a beautiful natural stone in your home, we always tell people don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Lambstone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all your project needs. So they're basically located in the state of Alabama, in Oneonta, Alabama, and it's one of the oldest and most trusted sources in the state of Alabama. So contact them today and tell them that we sent you over by using promo code the Bama Standard to receive 10% off of your first order. So go ahead and do that. Check them out. Go to their website and show some love. Now, we want to just jump right into it. We're coming off of a huge win. I don't think that win surprised any of us. It didn't surprise me, and I definitely want to get y'all's takes, but coming off of this win, Alabama is ranked number 1, right, in the AP poll. And I'm just looking at the chat. Alabama is ranked number 1 in the AP poll. But going into the season, we were ranked number 5. Then we moved up to number 4. We stayed there for a few weeks. And then, of course, we're number 1 now. Now, a lot of us kind of shared some of the same sentiments early on in that we kind of like being, we like being in the top 5. We didn't necessarily have to be number 1 because at the end of the day, what really mattered is where you're at the end of the season, right? But I'll start with you, JB, first on this. What are your reactions to Alabama being number 1? Do you feel like, maybe was that a shocker to you that they put us above Texas? How are you feeling?
First of all, thank you guys for having me on as a co-host. Great to be here. Yeah. So number 1, us jumping Texas. I know Texas is upset because they're going to feel like we beat them last year and y'all had the audacity to put them in front of us. But it don't work like that. It's 1 year at a time. This is a whole new year. Last year is beyond us, behind us. This is about what's going on right now. And the way we dominated Georgia early on in that game, of course they came back. We could talk about all that, but we got the job done. So us being number 1, I think it's the right thing. A lot of people were saying that maybe Bama's going to get, it's going to be rat poison for us to be number 1. I don't see it. I think the guys are locked in. I trust the coaching staff. I know we got to clean up some things that happened on last Saturday. But us being number 1 right now, I like it. I really like it. I mean, you can actually say Coach DeBoer has done something in his first year that Coach Saban didn't do. He got us to number 1 already.
That's true.
It's a lot more work to be done because it's early on in the season. We got about 8 more games left. So let's not get too excited. Let's just take it 1 game at a time, 1 week at a time.
Right. Because the ultimate goal is to be 1-0 every single weekend. But that was a really good point when they've been comparing Coach DeBoer to the GOAT. And when you look at it from that perspective, that is true because I believe Coach Saban's first year, we were like, what? We went 7-5. Yeah.
But now let's say he's that because of Nick Saban. Because Nick Saban didn't lead the cover bear.
Oh,
he
no.
had a high starting point. So
that's right.
Yeah, so he definitely had a high start point. Saban came behind, the mess.
So he's keeping the standard so far. He's keeping the standard at a high.
Exactly. That's a good way to look at it. Now, Dan, what are your thoughts on us being number 1?
with this team and this attitude, had it been, I'm not, not taking a shot at Coach Saban. Coach Saban's guys, I'd be worried. Okay. With this team and this attitude, we got the takers mentality. I think this team is prepared for that. They built for it to be number one, run the table. Because they take on the personality of the coach. Nick Saban was cautious. Always warned the guy, take what's in front of you. Coach DeBoer, he's more like take everything.
Yeah.
So definitely, I'm not concerned. So I don't expect it to be a letdown this week. But but it's Vandy. So you never know. Is this the Vandy that lost to Georgia State? Or did Vandy beat Georgia Tech? Virginia Tech. So,
right.
It depends on what Vandy we're going to get, but I expect us to dominate.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that too, because I think a huge proponent of our win against Georgia is going to play into, how we show up on the road this weekend against Vanderbilt. Now, those were all really good takes. Now, I will say for those of you, because we are live right now on X as well, any of those who are watching us on X right now, head over to our YouTube channel, the Bama Standard, and go ahead and subscribe and be sure to get in the live chat because we like to engage with the viewers as well. So shout out to y'all that are watching on X. Now, as we talk about Vanderbilt and just kind of seeing how, they've been playing this season and, a lot of people have been saying, well, you can't sleep on Vanderbilt. They could be that team that kind of catches, the higher ranked teams up. When we try to preview Vanderbilt and just kind of look at what Alabama needs to anticipate, looking at Vanderbilt, they're 2-2 this season and they're coming off of a bye week. So the last game they played Missouri. And they lost to them in 2 overtimes. And they played at Missouri. So with everything in perspective, their win against Virginia Tech, but of course they lost against Missouri. There are certain guys that I believe that we need to kind of dive deeper into. And for those who are newer to this channel, that's one thing that this show likes to do. We like to kind of dive deep and take a closer look at our opponents each week because you can't really, how can you really assess what our team is going to do if you don't really understand the opponent that you're going up against? We can sit up here and make score predictions all day long, but if you don't know the caliber of team and understand the players that you're going up against, and what does that really mean? Now, I'm going to start with you again on this one, JB, just because I know that you're taking on the quarterback. I want to know the players from your perspective that you believe that Alabama needs to we need to be on the entire game and we need to be on the watch out for.
Okay, so I did a little scouting on the quarterback, Diego Pavia, this morning. I watched some stuff on him. And I got a little bone to pick. I saw a Vandy YouTuber, podcaster. He was talking about, he said something that made me a little upset. He said Diego Pavia was more important to his team than Jalen Milroe was more important to Bama. And he also said that he was a better leader. And I was looking at him like, wait a minute.
What?
Leader of what?
Yes. So he said Diego was a better leader than Jalen Milroe because we have Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, Ryan Williams. He called all them leaders as well. So after he said that, I turned it off. I'm going to say that.
Vandy.
Yeah, and I went to another video.
But let me ask you this, JB. When you were listening to that, did it just sound like rat poison, like he's just trying to bait and get a reaction?
No, he sounded really confident. I don't know the guy's name. I think it was on Locked On Vandy. I think that's where the guy was at. But that's neither here nor there. But he really made me turn the video off because you cannot say this guy who just got there. He came from New Mexico State, and I really like the kid because he beat Auburn last year. Sure. I really like the kid,
Sure.
And he seems like a humble guy. He puts God first in everything he does. He seems like, a really good guy. Now, he is a real dual threat quarterback, so we have to be prepared for that.
Definitely.
Because I got some numbers on him passing wise. He's 54 for 85, 721 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. But the rushing is what got me. He has 71 carries, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing. But on his career, he has 341 carries, 1,715 yards, and 15 touchdowns in 3 years.
Yeah.
300 some carries. Wow. That's running back numbers.
He told like a running back. So
Hey, And if you look at their games, there I believe 3 games this season in and of itself. When I looked at the numbers, when you look at all of the carries on the ground, he accounted for half of them in each of their games. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So that's a really good point.
You can say the same about Jalen.
You can't. I was going to mention that this year Jalen been toting that rock like a running back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got to watch. Bama over the years have had trouble with dual threat quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, not the typical dropbacks. So this is going to be interesting. Hopefully we can contain. This is going to be a big test for our defense as far as keeping quarterback containment. Not letting the quarterback, because you saw what happened with South Florida. That quarterback had over 100-yard rush.
So I was thinking about him.
Would have had more than that if he could hit the downfield throws.
Exactly.
True.
So Pavia, I mean, he hasn't thrown a pick yet, so hopefully we can get some turnovers off him. But he seems like he's going to have the guys ready. Now, they were on a bye week last week, and I watched the interview he did, and he said, yeah, he watched the game, and he was like, yeah, I watched the Bama-Georgia game, but I also watched Ole Miss Kentucky. So he kind of like, kind of made it seem like it wasn't a big deal. So I don't know. He's got some bravado about himself. So,
you're gonna need
I want to see it. I'm interested in seeing this. I like the kid, though. I really do.
Yeah.
I really like the kid. So he's definitely public enemy number 1. He should be on that bulletin board in Bama's locker room right now.
Yeah, I know he is in Auburn.
I know, New Mexico State.
Oh yeah,
Auburn just raggedy.
He came out of nowhere. Okay, so I got another player, Quincy Skinner Jr., and they talked about him as well. He's a wide receiver, 6'2". He's a senior, big kid. So he hasn't had much production this year. Only 9 receptions, 132 yards and a touchdown. But he's second on the team in receptions and yards because of course Eli Stowers, which I know C'Chi, you would talk about him. They were saying they need to get him more involved. That's what they were saying on the video I watched. Now he probably can give our DBs a little problem because he's a big receiver, but we'll see how we will deal with him. And he's been there for a minute, so hopefully he won't break out this game because they say he's looking for a breakout game. Far as defense wise, safety CJ Taylor. He's a big safety, 6'1", 200 pounds. He's also a senior. He's had 50-plus tackles over the past 2 seasons, 4 interceptions, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries in his collegiate career. He's got a lot of production. This year, not so much, but as a safety position, he's going to have to come up and make plays as well. Hopefully, we can run the ball, and hopefully our running backs can get back there and run his ass over. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, we just want to put it in one sentence, and I mean that's it. That's just it. That's just it. Yeah. No, I like that. Those are definitely 3 guys in particular, and on offense and defense. Because CJ, he's definitely been a playmaker in terms of tackles. So I definitely like those. I think those were some good choices. Dan, who did you have that you feel like Alabama that we need to be on the entire game?
Yeah, I got a guy that's very interesting. He's also a New Mexico State transfer. I was going over the roster, and this guy stood out to me, and that was tight end Eli Stowers.
Okay.
If people don't remember, out of high school, he was a highly ranked 4-star quarterback that originally signed out of Denton, Guyer, Texas. Denton and Guyer, Texas. I mean, Guyer and Denton, Texas. He was a 4-star quarterback signed with Texas A&M. So he stayed at Texas A&M 2 years, then he transferred to New Mexico State. And he became a tight end, and he's learning the position. But he's very athletic. He was a former 6'8" Texas high jump champion. He was a state champion in Texas. A freak athlete. I told you 6'4", 235 pounds. He just learned the position, but he's athletic enough. He's right in the top 20 in Pro Football Focus as a tight end position, and he's just really learning the position. So I noticed he led Vanderbilt in receiving a couple of games. He had 9 catches for 110 yards against Georgia State. Last year he had 4 catches and a touchdown against Auburn in the victory over Auburn when he was with New Mexico State. But he's a freak athlete. So I think he's going to be a test for whoever. We'll probably have Jahad Campbell on him. Mm-hmm. Maybe, Devontae Smith, Red Morgan. So, he's going to be a challenge, to maintain, and that having a dual threat quarterback, that's going to be his best friend, a athletic tight end. So my second player on defense is Bryan Longwell, 6'1", 227 pounds, sophomore linebacker. He led Vanderbilt in tackles, leading tackle on the year. He had 12 tackles and a sack versus Missouri. And he's a linebacker, sideline to sideline linebacker. I mean, he fills the gap, great in run fit. Out of Lipscomb Academy, which puts out a lot of blue chip talent. Our Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. And I did not know until I dug a little further that he actually played for Trent Dilfer at Lipscomb Academy. Trent Dilfer is now the head coach of University of South Florida. Mm-hmm. But those two are guys. But this is a guy, and he had offers. He was a highly recruited guy. That tell you, Vandy can get dudes. He chose Vandy over. He had Auburn, Colorado, Arizona State, to name a few. But yeah, he's a great guy as far as playing. Sideline to sideline between the tackles. So, Jalen. They'll probably have him spine. He'll be the guy probably spine Jalen, which I expect them to do. So that's the guy we want to watch for.
You mean to tell me that he chose Vandy over Auburn?
Oh yes, he did. Wise choice, I guess.
Smart kid.
Hey, somebody should have told Deuce Knight that then. I mean, I'm just I'm just saying, right?
You got to have hope. You know what I'm saying? You got to have hope.
Then Vandy got them scholar athletes over there now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They have scholar athletes. You're right.
Yeah.
They have smart guys that play football. That's why they always sending linebackers to the league. Yeah. They get smart athletic guy, put them in the middle of the defense. That's Vandy football.
Yep, exactly. No, those are two good ones as well. I couldn't resist that. As soon as you said that he chose Vandy over Auburn, I'm just like, Auburn taking another L. I mean, I just had to throw that in there. And I think they're gonna take another L this weekend, with them playing Georgia. But we're not gonna get into that. But no, y'all chose some really good ones. I definitely think that those are ones that, from a coaching perspective, that our coaches are keeping in mind in terms of, just the schemes that they come up with. Now, we talk about their quarterback and him being a solid dual threat quarterback and just how good he is with his legs. But one guy that I wanted to mention is actually one of their running backs, Sedrick Alexander. So he's a sophomore, and this is his second year at Vanderbilt. He had almost 400 rushing yards, 400 rushing yards, 150 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns last year. But then this season alone, he's had over 200 rushing yards already, 50 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was a receiving touchdown. So he's played in all their games so far this season. He's had at least 1 touchdown in all of their games this season, except their most recent one against Missouri. And he's averaging about 12 to 13 carries per game. So in terms of the run game, of course, their quarterback, he's going to try. But I really hope that, our defense, especially our guys up front, even the ones at that wolf position, they're able to contain him. I do think that they're going to rely heavily on Sedrick, though. So that's one guy that I had. I know that we've mentioned a wide receiver and a tight end. There's another one, Junior Sherrill. So this is a guy, I'm not going to go too in depth with him, but he's definitely another one that I believe that they're going to have out there. He's a sophomore, second season at Vanderbilt. He had about 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns last year. He's been doing his thing this year. He's gotten a touchdown already. And I do believe that the Eli Stowers and Quincy Skinner Jr., they're going to be the go-to guys in terms of receivers, but I do believe they're going to try to add Junior in the mix some kind of way because he's averaging about 15 yards per reception. So I can see, if they want to be creative and they want to shake things up, I can definitely see them trying to work him into, whatever they're coming up with. Now, from a defensive perspective, the guy that I'm looking at is their linebacker, Langston Patterson. So this guy is a junior. He had about 75 tackles and 1 sack and 1 interception last year, and then total tackles. And then this season, he's recorded about 30 total tackles, and he leads their team in terms of total tackles. So that speaks for itself. He had over 10 total tackles in their game against Missouri and Virginia Tech this season. So he's definitely a huge playmaker for Vanderbilt in terms of their defense. I definitely see, him having some solid numbers unless, something were to happen, but he's definitely one of their guys that they heavily rely on. And then the other guy that I have, he's one of their edge rushers, Miles Capers, and he's a senior. So he had about 30 total tackles last year and 1 sack. This year so far has a little over 20 total tackles and a sack. Now, their game a couple weeks ago against Missouri, he had about 7 total tackles, and also the same thing in their game against Virginia Tech. So Miles Capers and then Langston Patterson, those are definitely 2 guys in particular that we'll have to keep our eyes on in terms of defense. And I definitely think they're going to have them, really do some. They're going to try to stop us. But I mean,
they got some dudes. They got some dudes at linebacker. I'm telling you.
They do. They do. They really do. So, that's one thing that I believe that we have to keep in mind, because a lot of times what happens is you see these teams, they'll play a big game and then they'll play a team like a Vanderbilt or South, a team that may not be ranked or they haven't done too well the past few years. And they're looking too far ahead. Okay, what about the Tennessees coming up and, the different games? And they lose sight of what's in front of them. And we always talk about a part of the Bama standard being to go 1-0 every single weekend, because our eyes, we're not like the Texas A&M where we just have one team in our regular schedule circle. We're not like the Auburns where we know we're going to take some L's. No, we're Alabama, and our sight is on that national championship in Atlanta in January in 2025. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know what they think this is, but that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
So
We're looking through the schedule, right?
Right through them. Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and give a shout out to one of our other sponsors. We love to show love to them. They show love to us as well. I have to shout out whitwillsports.com. We actually have their website listed below in the banner. We always tell you that, and we see JB holding his up. He's had his for a few years. We always say that your game day is not the same without the title towel. Be sure to head over to whitwillsports.com and use promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. And also, maybe you already have one or maybe you don't need one right now. Go ahead and order some in bulk and send them down to Auburn because they needed to wipe those tears from all those L's. Or you can actually send them down to Florida State, because they'll probably get another L this weekend. But
they need them to wipe their butts because they roll the tree.
They rolled all the teachers.
True. That is very true. Yeah. Well, we want to kind of, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to mention it again, just in case anyone just kind of tuned in, but we are streaming live on X right now. So if you're watching us on X right now, head over to our YouTube channel, The Bama Standard, and be sure to subscribe and be sure to get in the chat because we definitely want to have y'all engaged here. Now, as we move on and kind of talk about how does Alabama avoid the Vandy trap, I feel like, all of us have kind of mentioned certain things. We talk about Vanderbilt's quarterback and how he's a true dual threat quarterback. And essentially we need to stop their run game. I'm going to start with you on this one, Dan. What are your thoughts here? Looking at how Vanderbilt has, I guess, forgetting about their season last year, thinking about how they are right now in this moment, and then them coming off of that, that loss to Missouri at Missouri, where they almost beat them. They went in 2 overtimes, coming off of that loss, having a bye week, where they stand right now in comparison to where Alabama stands coming off of a huge win against Georgia. Where do you feel like we stand in that, and how do we avoid the trap?
Let me tell you now, Vandy, what they're gonna do, they're gonna try to muddy it up. They're going to try to make us play sound football. That means we got to have gap integrity.
Yep.
You got a dual threat quarterback that's mostly a runner.
Mm-hmm.
You got running backs that can gash it. They're going to make us play gap assignment. They're going to try, to milk the clock. I expect them to, to come out and just give us a lot of misdirection, a lot of pre-snap motion, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna try to quick snap it a few times, but they took this bye week for a reason. So they think they're catching us at an opportune time. So they trust me, they've been talking up Bama for this entire 2 weeks. Bye week. But I expect them to to give us a game early, but at the end of the day, we're Bama.
I mean, that's how you sum it up. But I want to get into specifics though. We talk about, because I like what you said, but I want to get into specifics regarding their defense and their offense. Of course, they're going to make us play a full 4 quarters. They want to try to almost humble us in a sense, like, okay, yeah, y'all beat Georgia. Yeah, you got Ryan Williams and Xavier Brown, whatever. But what do you feel like we need to do in terms of not just going out there and beating them, but beating them convincingly to where it's at least a 30-point spread?
Yeah, the good question. We know we can strike quickly. I want to see us get out, establish the run game, sustain long drives. I want to see us work on that part because I'm sorry, we're so great and so explosive. We haven't had to really just outside of the scripted plays we did against Georgia. The in the opening quarter, but I want to see, late in the game, can we sustain a long drive to milk the clock? I want to see us, move the chains shortly, methodically. So that's a challenge I want to see this week. I challenge the team to be able to do that.
Interesting. I like that. And I see you're nodding, JB, so it looks like you're in agreement. But what are your takes? How do we avoid the trap? Considering, Vanderbilt coming off of a bye week, them losing, I'm sure there was a lot of emotion in that game because they almost beat Missouri on the road. But then considering us coming off of a win like we just had at home against Georgia, how do we avoid that trap? And what does Alabama need to do specifically to establish not just, we just beat Georgia, but that we can sustain the momentum?
Very simple, run the ball. But before I get to that, I want to say that it seems like they have that mindset together. I was watching Coach Shep. He was talking about having that 1-0 mentality, 24-hour rule. Now we're done talking about Georgia. We were done with Georgia on Sunday. You celebrate Saturday night, Sunday, you lick your wounds, you recover, and now we on to Vandy. So this is going to be one of those games. And as you guys remember, the last time we went to Vandy, 2017, we whooped their ass 59-0. I was there. Yeah, I saw the massacre, 59-0. And it was really a Bama home game, wasn't it? I remember that. Yeah, I was about to tell you. So if you haven't been to a Vandy, Alabama game in Nashville, it's 80% Bama. Yeah, 80% Bama is crimson and white and a little bit of black and gold. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure. I mean, I don't know how it is now. It's been about 6-7 years since then. We always kick Vandy ass. I mean, straight up. But I think this is going to be a little more competitive, maybe early on, because, like you guys say, they want a bye week. We had a hell of a game of the year. All the emotions. Hopefully they're coming down now. You know what I'm saying? And young team. So all those freshmen, like you mentioned, Xavier Brown, Ryan Williams, they have to focus. They gotta focus. You gotta keep the focus. Now I think Milroe will be very crucial in being the leader that he is to get those guys rallied up. And I love the way Jalen leads. He says that he stands there. He slaps everybody's hand. He stands there. He's so poised, and the guys will be ready. But this is on the coaches. I think it's on the coaches to have them ready. We got to cut the penalties out. We have too many penalties. Got to cut those out. And just like Dan say, you have to sustain drives. That's why I say run the ball and not Jalen Milroe. We don't need Jalen Milroe to run for 16, 17 years this time.
Not the game like this.
No, we got Justice and Jam. Those guys are only running the ball 6-7 times a piece. I said before the season, they need to get at least 30 carries in between, maybe 40 carries between the two. I understand Jalen's going to run because you can't stop him. He's a big guy. He's fat. He's big, fast, strong. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. But Justice and Jam need to eat too. You got to feed them like Zeke Ellis say, feed me.
They will if you let them.
You gotta feed them. It's no damn way. Somebody had like 2 carries.
It was Justice the 2 weeks ago, right?
Man, had 2 carries.
Had to be against Wisconsin.
I think he had 2 carries. And then this past game, I think Jam only had about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Bro, come on. Feed them boys. They're there for a reason.
That's what they're there
Yes, and I don't know who is running back one. I call them 1A and 1B.
Yeah,
I always call them 1A and 1B. So I think we need to tote the rock, man. You know, Jalen can run the ball 5-6 times, but tote the rock, do some play action, and let's do some things. We were throwing the ball to CJ Dupree and Quavers
in the pocket.
Yes, doing that, and let's get some of the other guys involved, the Kobe Prentices and give me some Henderson and get some of those guys involved as well, more than Ryan Williams and Germ.
Yeah.
I agree. Those are all good points. And speaking of which, I want the audience, those in the chat, to chime in as well, because I see y'all are real active tonight. Y'all know we like to get active. I see y'all are real active. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna pose the same question to y'all in the chat, and I want to see y'all's responses. How do you feel Alabama should go about avoiding the Vandy trap? Because that has been a sentiment throughout college football this week, coming off of the win, but then Vandy coming off of the bye week and the loss against Missouri. So what are y'all thoughts there? I mean, do you feel like, do you agree with what we're seeing in terms of, the run game? We need to, because what I noticed even last week during our show is that people were saying the same thing. Why aren't we running Jam and Justice? I mean, we talked about them a lot before the season started. So now it's time to see them actually out there. I mean, we got two of the best running backs in the nation. It literally makes no sense, but we may actually see that question answered this weekend in the game. Now, if I were to answer this myself, because I've been thinking about this and I'm like, the years that we have lost a game in the regular season, especially if it's not within those first 2 to 3 games, sometimes it does tend to happen with a team that maybe you're not really thinking about, or maybe, we just came off of a huge win. So my biggest thing, of course, is to shut down their run game, more so in terms of their quarterback. I mean, because I mentioned Sedrick Alexander, their running back, but I mean, go look at the numbers. You see that their quarterback, he's getting over half of the carries he had. It's same with Milroe to some degree, but I feel like the level of talent that we have at that running back position in Alabama is on a whole different level than what they have. And so we need to be able to shut their run game down, similar to Byron Brown with South Florida, shut down their run game and force them to throw the ball. Because one thing that I noticed, and y'all can go and look into this a little bit more, because I'm a numbers girl and I love stats. And so one thing that I noticed, the more that he throws, Vanderbilt's quarterback, the more that he throws the ball, the more plays in the air, the worse his accuracy gets. I noticed that when they seem to do a little better, it's when they're having more plays on the ground and when he's not throwing as much. But as soon as he starts, I would say more than at least 20, 25 plays in the air, the worse his accuracy gets. So we need to be pressuring him, and we have to force him to throw the ball, and we got to be able to sack him. I mean, those guys at that wolf position, the Quandarius Robinson, Quay Russaw, Keanu Coot, Yonsei Pierre, all these guys, we need to have them doing their job, doing what they do best, and just shutting him down. But in terms of Alabama, I really believe that we need to have a good balance, because one thing that I noticed in their losses against Georgia State and Missouri is that both Georgia State and Missouri were able to run and throw on them. I mean, they had a good, at least well over 30 to 35 plays in the air and on the ground. They had a really good balance, and that was something that stood out to me. And so I really believe that we're going to have a good balance as well. Like you said, JB, we don't need to see Milroe out there doing a whole lot of running. He doesn't need to use his legs in this game as much, but it needs to be just and Jam. And depending on how quickly we can get that lead, we may be able to see Richard Young out there as well. Now, in terms of receiving, I did like that against Georgia. We saw a lot of receivers get their hands on the ball, even the tight ends, they're wide. Yeah. So I believe that this is a game where we should be able to see more from Kobe Prentice, Emmanuel Henderson Jr., that huge play that E-Man had in the game against Georgia. Like, this is the game, and there is no more excuses, because a lot of us have been asking the same question, why we aren't seeing, Kobe Prentice. We've seen him the last couple of years. We know what he can do. So we need to see more plays with him worked in there. Of course, Jeremy Bernard, will see him as well. But Dan, you mentioned a really good point when you talked about more so like the game management side of things, the clock management, the game management, because at that point, when you're able to just run the ball, you're able to kind of, I almost feel like it's like a poised way of playing football, in a sense, when you're being more strategic, if you will, where you're able to just drive that ball, run that ball. tire them guys out. The Lambstone cats, wear them out. Wear them guys completely out.
They wore out. They wore out.
I mean, and they should be. They should be. Ain't no reason why with Alabama, we have the best talent in the nation year after year. We should, if we see this from our side, and I hope y'all in the chat, because I said what I'm seeing right now, y'all going in. I want to see y'all really go in and just say, like, what do y'all think we should be doing? Because I feel like every single week we're saying the exact same thing, and we're seeing some things change, but it's still certain names that we want to see out there more. I know Kendrick Law, he left the game against Georgia with that lower body injury, so I'm not exactly sure if he'll be able to play. But even some of the guys that's been there for a while, I want to see Caleb Odom get out there and catch some passes as well. You know, it's no reason why he shouldn't. So that's essentially where our thoughts are in terms of what Alabama needs to do, especially coming off of such a huge win against Georgia. People can say what they want about, oh, well, y'all let Georgia come back. At the end of the day, you're talking about Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, the two best teams in the nation.
They're right. They only do what we let them do. They're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, yes, y'all better come ask us first before you try to do anything. I know. Yeah, they only doing what we allow them to do. You better ask somebody. Yeah, definitely. And I did see a super chat. Let's see.
You know who?
Oh boy.
Let me guess. Let me see if I can feel it.
Jimmy Clay.
Hey, Jimmy. Shout out to Jimmy. Thank you for the super chat. Roll Tide, roll. The Tide is rolling. I mean, honestly, that the game against Georgia, of course, we going to the Nationals. I could care less what anybody have to say, because I feel like even if we would have lost that game, we would have made the necessary corrections to be able to be right back in that playoff position and going to, I mean, so, you know, I know it's still some so-called Bama fans that are, you know, still on the fence about certain things, but, you know, whatever. Now, I did want to shift a little bit more, because we're talking about the offense and the defense, right? And we're talking about certain things that we need to consider in terms of just the plays and how do we avoid, you know, the Vandy trap. Now I want to get into who from Alabama has more to prove in this game. And I want to look at both the offense and the defense. So for this one, I'll kick this one off. I feel like we're going to all have, you know, maybe some of the same names, but offensively, I would start with Jalen Milroe. And it's not that he necessarily has something to prove, but the biggest thing is, can he keep that momentum going? You know, because coming off of a win and the way he played against Georgia, that's something that, you know, of course, people are going to continue to talk about. Now, my thing is that we need to give them something positive to continue to talk about. So I want to see him be able to, you know, continue doing what he's doing, those passes, you know, do what you're doing and remaining poised. I like that stoicism that I see from him. That it's like a different confidence than what he had last year. I want to see that. And so I believe for him, it's just keeping that momentum going. I want to see Kobe Prentice making some big plays, but that's going to come down to coaching and then working him in to some of the schemes. And then also Justice Haynes. I think Justice and Jam is definitely going to be huge for them, because we're talking about them and, you know, them getting more reps. So I definitely think it's going to be big for them. And I do think that not that they have to prove anything, but I do think that it's showtime. Like, it's time for them to get out there, you know, show what they can really do, especially against that D line that, you know, we're talking about in terms of Vanderbilt. Defensively, I would primarily say our D line and the edge, because I feel like, you know, when you're going up against a dual threat quarterback like Vanderbilt's quarterback, you know, that's a guy where you have to be able to stop him quickly. You know, we need to make him uncomfortable, kind of like we did with Byron Brown. We struggled just a little bit in that game, but I do think that we should have learned certain things from that game that we should be able to work into this game and shut him down pretty early. So, but I'll start with you, JB, on this one. Who do you believe offensively and defensively has the most to prove from Alabama?
I know you said Kobe Prentice. I was gonna say Kobe Prentice. Okay. I don't know if Kendrick Law is gonna play or not, but I'm gonna say Kobe Prentice, because I feel like, man, before the season started, I thought he had a chance to be wide receiver one. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been there, and, you know, it's his third season. I want him to actually break out this year, but we know the emergence of Ryan Williams. We wasn't expecting Ryan Williams to be this great. We knew what he was.
Who?
You was expecting this?
Yes, I expect even more. Look.
Exceeded my expectation. I'm not.
He didn't exceed mine. I'm telling you,
it's him to be great. But
when this guy, when he reclassified, that's all I needed. And then I'm looking at his tape, and I'm like, this dude is on a whole. He won Mr. Alabama for nothing. You look at his style. Right. You look at the confidence that he had, that leadership, the way that the players talk about him before the season even started. I'm like, this dude, he's gonna be on a whole. You know, when you what's it on Rocky, where he said this guy's gonna be something great. This guy, like, that's him. That's literally him. You know, I'm not surprised at all. And I expect even more, to be honest.
Well, you know, C'Chi, we didn't know how much he would play being a 17-year-old true freshman with this new coaching style. I mean, we know the kid's great, special. I see video game when I watch him. Yeah. I see he's a video game, man. And it's incredible to see. But we got to see, I mean, even Kendrick Law, man, give me some more time. You one catch a game? Come on, brother. Get Kendrick Law the ball, get Kobe Prentice the ball, and they need to go to me. Hey, bro, we know, you know, Ryan Williams showing out, Jeremy Bernard, you know, he catching 4-5 ball. Let us get some of the sugar. We got to share the sugar, baby. You know how to do it. You got to share the sugar.
Not the sweet and low.
Yeah, you got to share. So I just want them guys, you know, to just get off. And I love the way Jalen was dinking and dunking. He was getting that ball off early in that game. He went what 18 for 18 to start the game.
Yeah, so, but JB, would you attribute that mostly to him and being his confidence, or would you attribute that a lot to do with the O-line?
I'm gonna say a little bit of both. More so, I'm gonna say the coaching. So they had it all dialed up, and you know all that was scripted. So they went script, and he looked incredible. The O-line, definitely shout out to them. I was gonna say O-line, but they proved everything against Georgia. Jalen Milroe had zero sacks. That's all you got to say. And of course, Emmanuel Henderson. So I say all the wide receivers, since we already talked running backs, all the wide receivers who were there last year and the year before. Yeah, y'all need to be right. Hey man, this the game. We gonna beat up on old Vandy, little old Vandy. We gonna beat up on them. Let me get some sugar today.
Don't tell me we're about to get a sponsorship from a sugar brand, from a sugar company.
You been hanging around JT too much.
Right. Yeah. That's a JT rubbing off of you. And I saw him in the chat. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And for those in the chat, drop who y'all believe offensively and defensively has the most to prove and why, and also include why. Yeah. No, I like that. Did you have anything else?
Defense, I'm gonna say the secondary. Okay. I'm gonna say the guys like Red Morgan, you know,
giving up 400 yards.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm gonna say Xavier Brown as well because they picked on him. He caught the game-winning interception, so we got to give him all the praises. But they tested him, boy. And it was times in that game before the very end when I saw him look discouraged. I saw when they threw that big pass and they on the goal line right before they scored a touchdown, and they showed him, he looked like he was discouraged. Like Malachi kind of like, dude, wake up. Yeah. This is the biggest game of your life. Right. Wake up, get it together. So I want to see Xavier Brown, guys like Red Morgan, even Keon Saw, man, you know, blowing up big coverage. They need to get it together on the back end. And I don't know how much they will be able to. Depends on how much they throw the ball. But there's no way Vandy should throw for over 150, 200 yards against our defense.
At most.
No.
At most. But see, you know, we talk about forcing them to throw. So yeah. No, I like that. Dan, what are your thoughts? Who from Alabama offensively and defensively has the most to prove?
Definitely. I'm gonna say you talked about Kobe Prentice. The thing about Kobe Prentice, you know, when he's been called on, he's answered the call. We just got to get him involved in the game plan a little bit more. But my guy on offense, I want to see Justice Haynes. You know, I seen a couple of times where on third down, you know, we threw the little check down to him, and he wasn't as aggressive as to getting to the yard marker.
I know what you're talking about.
So I want to see him have that hunger, you know, get upfield quick. You know, in those situations, you got to get upfield quick, you know. So I want to see him work on that part of his game. Okay. On the defense, you know, you know, we got carved up in the second half last week, you know, and a large part of that was we wasn't getting pressure.
True.
So I'm gonna put it on the wolf position. You know, Q-Rob, you know, Rusaw, you know, let's get to the quarterback and get him down. You know, you know, we shouldn't have to bring more than 4. You know, we should be able to get to the quarterback. You know, the Vandy quarterback with 4. You know, we shouldn't have to bring any extra, any exotic blitzes or anything. You know, that's the only time we was able to get the bet. It seemed, you know, we brought the little blitz packages. But I want to see, can we get pressure with 4? You know, and that's going to start with the Wolf. So, you know, I want to challenge Rusall, Q-Rob, Keanu Coop. You know, y'all guys, you know, let's see what we can do. Let's see, can we get to the quarterback and get them down this week?
Yep. All right. I like that. I like that. Not the some of the people in the chat, they seem to share some of the same sentiment as well. So then, as we're talking about our matchup against Vanderbilt, let's get into score predictions and players of the game. We've been naming all these players. We're talking about what Alabama should do, what we better do when we go out there. Dan, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What is your score prediction for our matchup this weekend against Vanderbilt? And then, who is your offensive and defensive player of the game?
Okay, well, let me say, you know, my score prediction didn't change from last night. I'm gonna tell you, man, Bama 56, Vanderbilt 0.
Ooh.
I don't want to see them score. I really don't want to see them get in the red zone. So, you know, offensive player of the game, none other than the Heisman Trophy winner, Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
Defense. This is the type of game where we're going to see, you know, again, the guy that's been, you know, the guy on defense, Jahad Campbell.
Okay.
Man.
All right. So JB, I'll post. Yeah, and to the audience, put your score predictions and your players of the game in the chat as well. JB, what you got?
I'm gonna go 52-10. I think they get a cheap touchdown in there in the field goal. I'm gonna go 52-10. Player of the game, Ryan Williams. I think Ryan Williams gets 2 touchdowns and close to 200 yards. I just think he makes some spectacular plays early on, give us a big lead. I'm going to go Ryan Williams on offense. Defense, I'm going to go Quay Rusall. I need him to get a couple sacks. You know, he had that forced fumble on Beck against the Georgia game. Yeah, I need to get a couple sacks, man. Get some pressure, tackle for loss. I'm gonna go Quay Rusall.
Gotcha. Okay. So ours aren't too far apart. So my score prediction 48-7. I'm saying 7. Just some crazy things can happen sometimes. So I'm giving them 48-7. I have 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 1 field goal, no interceptions. Offensive player of the game, I would go with either Justice Haynes or Kobe Prentice. I believe it's going to be one of the two. And then defensive, I'm also looking at that Wolf position. I have Quandarius Robinson on that one. So, I mean, we all kind of, in the same realm there. So now I know that we've been posing questions to the audience, and I know that we have quite a few in there. So let's move on to our Q&A really quickly and address some questions that we have from the audience. All right. Shout out to Joe Edwards. When will the coaches start putting pressure on the QB? They're having too much time back there to observe the field. And JB, I'm going to let you take this one since we were just talking about that Wolf position.
Yeah, I think it's time. But like I mentioned, I don't know how many opportunities we will have because this is a running quarterback. This is a dual threat, so he will run the ball double-digit times at least. So we got to stop it. We got to stuff the run. Now, when he has to pass, when it's 3rd and long and he has to pass, just like Dan said earlier, we have to get there with 4. So it's on the Wolf. It's on Quay, it's on Q-Rob, it's on the guys like that. Get to the quarterback. And if we can get pressure on the middle with the big guys, Tim Keenan and the boys, hey, let's do it. Let's get this quarterback down because he's tough. He's a tough quarterback, so we're going to have to get him down. We need about 4 or 5 sacks if possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. And like we said earlier too, we need to force him to throw the ball, because what we're seeing is that the more passes he has in the air, the worse his accuracy gets. I mean, I believe this is a big opportunity we talk about our secondary. We had 3 interceptions in our game against Georgia. We talk about the secondary. This may be a game I've been waiting for a pick 6. I believe we may actually see that in this game. So fingers crossed. All right. Another question, another from Joe Edwards. Do you think we need to change out of that 4-2-5 defense? Dan, I'll kick it off to you. And then I see you, JB, shaking your head, so I'll give it to you too. But Dan, what are your thoughts?
No, definitely not. Believe it or not, Nick Saban ran a lot of 4-2-5. It is, that's basically what, a lot of teams are running now. No, the thing is, we need to change up, our pressure packages. We're doing a lot of simulated pressure. We're still bringing 4, but which 4, we were disguising it, but that didn't seem to work effectively against Georgia. We without, our best way of getting the bait was with the exotic blitzes. So I want to see, can we, we should be able to against Vandy, be able to get to the quarterback with just 4.
Yeah.
So you're playing 7 in pass coverage. That should be enough, but that wasn't enough against Georgia because he had all time to throw. So in short, no. To answer the question, no. I don't think we should move from the 4-2-5. That's a base defense, even in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. JV, real quickly, you were shaking your head. Sounds like you don't agree either.
I was gonna say hell no. So yeah, I mean, especially when you have 2 linebackers like Lawson and Campbell.
True.
Man, these guys, I tell you, the best linebacker duo in college football, right there. And I mean, these guys they're getting to the ball, they're moving laterally, they're knocking passes down. Hell, Campbell caught an interception. Lawson I think he caught one early on in the season, didn't he? Did he catch one early on?
His first game, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, they're getting their hands on the ball and they're making tackles in double-digit tackles a game. Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I believe, like you say, we need to get pressure with 4, and the back end need to get together the communication, and we'll be all right. 4-2-5 is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard, people say things about how the 4-2-5 could work against you if you're playing a team that's really good running the ball, but I mean, people have mixed feelings because then you look at the 3-4, you could have, different things that you say, okay, well, I mean, that's not perfect either.
They weren't running the ball against us. They kind of struggling with the run, so they had to go to the pass. Yeah. So we're getting them off the field earlier, but because they weren't able to come in and pound the ball against us. So the 4-2-5 it can be effective against the run. Yeah, that was a question I had coming into the season.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Shout out to Corey Lewis. Do you guys feel Alabama needs to play another receiver since Law is hurt? We need to bring other receivers in the mix. Yeah, we just saw a comment from Justin stating that Kendrick Law will be playing. So thank God it's nothing serious. Yeah. So, we should be able to see him this weekend then. Of course, Kobe Prentice, we saw Cole Adams out there against Georgia. That's a guy too, that we sometimes they fly under the radar, but then we can't forget the tight end position as well, because that's where, when we think about the years that we win the national championship, we always have that elite tight end, and whether we fed him ball enough or not, we still have that really good tight end. So we had CJ Dupree, we had Robbie Oots, and then we had Josh Cuevas. All of them all of them had a couple receptions this past weekend. So I definitely see them. We definitely opened up the playbook against Georgia. I definitely see them doing that a little more. We can't drop the ball or take our foot off the gas going into the weekend against Vanderbilt. So Jimmy Clay, are we on upset alert? Hey, JB, come on, JB. Let him know, JB. Let him know.
Come on, Jimmy. No, we're not on upset alert. Not by any means. We are not on upset alert. I know you just said that. I know he wanted to trigger us. He wanted to trigger us tonight. But.
He could have triggered us. I mean, Jimmy, instead of an upset alert, go ahead and trigger us with another super chat. Go ahead and trigger that super chat. Don't trigger us with no upset alert, man, because we ain't losing that game. I mean, it's Alabama, right? It's Alabama.
Appreciate you, Jimmy.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy Clay, always showing love. Shout out to Joe again. You have some good questions. Do you think we need to get more offensive players involved in our offense and quit looking for Williams all the time? Dan, I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts?
Let me tell you, there's a possibility that we could play 17 games this year with a 12-team playoff. Kids tend to get worn down. You know what I'm saying? So you want to kind of stretch it out. You want to get as many guys involved, because it's going to be a grind. We haven't even gotten to the meat of the schedule yet.
Yeah.
We just in going into game 5. There's a potential we could play 17 games. We get into the national championship 17 or 16. That's a NFL schedule. That's a grueling schedule. And it's going to get tougher. In the postseason. So, you want to make sure you have guys fresh. So yeah, that's a good question. We definitely need to get more guys involved early.
Yeah. I agree. JB, you got any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I want to see Caleb Odom, man. I hadn't seen Caleb.
I was just thinking about him.
Is he all right? You see Caleb Odom on the field.
He's all right.
This is the game for it. Yeah.
But I wonder, y'all, because one thing that I was thinking about, I wonder if what's going on right now, where we see Jalen connecting a lot with Ryan Williams, kind of like I would look at it like expect the unexpected, right? People wouldn't anticipate a 17-year-old freshman to be the one, that's getting all these carries or all these receptions. But I feel like it's almost wonder if it's strategic, because I feel like a guy like Caleb Odom, they didn't move him over from tight end to wide receiver for, just to do it for no reason. I believe he's going to be that guy that we see almost midway, not necessarily potentially in the game against South Carolina, but I definitely could see him in Tennessee perhaps if we start to play him now. So for whatever reason, he's not injured to my knowledge. I mean, are y'all aware of any injuries or?
No, I'm not.
Well, I don't know, but it's definitely game time for him. I think that changed to wide receiver. That wasn't for nothing. So shout out to Ryan Flanagan. Bama cannot beat Vanderbilt with Pavia at quarterback. I like that you have a question mark there.
Is that a question?
Well, it can't be a statement because it would be false. So I'm gonna take it as a question.
I think he is due to Jimmy Clay comment earlier.
Yeah. Okay, because surely it's not a troll. Surely you're not a fan of Vanderbilt or another team. Like, surely you're not doing that over here. Shout out to Jimmy Clay.
We know,
I was just playing. We love you, Jimmy Clay. I was just playing. But you did send out another super chat, so thank you. And then there's a question. Let's see. Toughest Nail, shout out to you. Do you think Hollywood would have started under Saban? Good question. JB, what do you think?
Good question.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think he would have started.
Not
game one. No,
early. Yeah.
No.
Maybe later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
He would have, but I don't know.
I don't think so. Not under Saban. He didn't start Derrick Henry, and I know he had. We had
Julio though. Did Julio start his first year?
Julio start?
He did start, right?
He did, yeah. He did. Julio did. Yeah. But Julio was 6'4", 210 pounds.
But even then, though, think about all the comparisons between Julio and Ryan Williams going into the season. Just his style of play.
You both of them walk in the room together. You wouldn't know they played the same position.
True.
And Devontae Smith came along late in his freshman year.
Yeah, he came along late.
Yeah.
He came along late, caught the game winning. I don't know. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have started in game one. I think he would have had to earn his keep.
Because Coach Saban, he considered seniority a lot. So the Kobe Prentice, the Kendrick Law, those would have been the ones probably that he probably would have tried to get Cole Adams. I really wish that Jalen Hill was healthy, because that's a guy I was huge on him his first year, because I'm like, this guy's going to be something serious. So I don't know how long he's out, but hopefully at least, towards the end of the season, postseason, we'll see him. So that wraps it up for our questions, but still be in the chat though, because we always have a very engaging live chat, and so y'all can definitely communicate amongst each other.
You got Daniel Petty in the chat.
Shout out to Petty. Yeah. Shout out to Petty, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And like we said earlier, if you're watching us right now, because we are live streaming on X right now, if you're on our X right now watching us, be sure to head over to YouTube and search the Bama Standard, and be sure to subscribe. So that'll do it for the Q&A session. But I did want to mention we do have Saturday. Yeah, actually, don't forget about. Yeah. So tomorrow, I'm not sure if we're going to go live tomorrow. We do have a new show that's coming out, Roll Tide Cafe. We have some things in the works, so we may go live tomorrow. We may push it out next week. We'll see. We will have the post-game show right after the game this weekend. It is kind of like a late afternoon game this weekend, so we'll have the post-game show right after. We do have Sunday nights talking Bama, so none other than JB. And actually, JB, I'll let you kind of talk on that once we go around. Let me just quickly comment real quick. So we do have Sunday Nights Talking Bama with JB and Josh Tucker at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So shout out to them. And that will do it for us. So I'll let y'all promote your other shows and your social media, and then we will wrap it up for tonight. So JB, I'll start with you. Any social media that you want to promote and any other shows?
Yeah, so you can follow me on X at young_ENT_. Find me here every Wednesday night on the Crimson Dynasty. I'm the new co-host, so you guys get used to seeing me. And for everybody in the chat who normally watches, Sunday Night Talking Bama, me, JT, Stephen M. Smith, Marshall Bean, we go on every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Bama Standard Network. So make sure you check us out. We get you started up because the week technically starts on Sunday. So we get you started up right there, Sunday Night Talking Bama. Right. And you can follow me on YouTube, Sports Talking with JB. I do my own podcast on Tuesday nights. And I got a show in a little bit, the Black and Gold Show. Shouts out to Alabama State University. I cover them as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. 334. All right. All right. And then Dan, any other shows or any social media?
Yeah, you can catch me on this very network Tuesday nights, the Final Whistle. Besides here every Wednesday night, Crimson Dynasty. You can catch me on X at the Final Whistle Dan. But when I heard we were streaming on X, I told my dad, I said, "Yeah, we're streaming on X." He said, "So you're doing porn?"
Oh my goodness!
And we got to change that name, man. We got Twitter.
Did he say that for real?
No, that was just a little joke. Yeah, a little jokey joke. You know me.
You always got to throw a joke in. I never know when to take you seriously.
hey, pretty soon we're going to be streaming on Steve Brown OnlyFans.
That's right.
I mean, well, I don't know. Y'all might have to do that by yourself. I ain't going to be getting on that, but And then you can, anything else, Dan, before I mention mine?
I think I named everything.
And you're on the post-game show too, right?
Social. Oh, yeah, that's right. The post-game show Saturday.
He got so much going on, he forgot.
He's too busy worried about the wrong thing.
Am I a celebrity now?
I mean, I would say you would.
Chat, let me know. Am I a celebrity?
Yeah, y'all.
Man, you are Unc. You the Unc of the Bama Standard.
I know.
You named the Bama Unc.
Bama Unc. Hey, shout out to Wookie Gremlin, whatever that means.
Wookie and the Gremlin.
Ooh, thank you for that.
I didn't even know they could make.
Thank you for that super chat. Just a thought. Do you guys think we are not seeing the running backs because Milroe's padding his Heisman stats, the plays, RPOs? I love Milroe, by the way. Great dude. I mean, that's a thought.
I
don't think he's padding it, though.
It's just teams. I don't know why the defense end is crashing down on the run. So he has no choice but to take it. I don't know why. And you got the best running back in the backfield with the ball in hand, Jalen Milroe. I don't know why you're crashing down on the running back so much.
And they always joke.
When Jalen Walker, he crashed down on the running back, which led to a touchdown. I don't understand that.
And everybody want to joke and say we got a running back at quarterback.
They make him.
Can't stop him throwing the ball, and you damn sure can't stop when he run the ball.
Right.
Hey, ask Georgia.
Right. And I know what play you talking about, Dan. When it was 4th and 1, and we needed 1 yard, and he got 41.
Yeah, he realized when the helmet got knocked out.
Y'all are funny. All right. And you can follow me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. I'll have other things to promote next week. I won't say, what all those will be, but just be on the lookout for other things next week. And then, like I said, shout out to JT for our new intro. It looks awesome. Yeah. So, well, without further ado. Oh goodness, yeah, you're gonna get banned.
We know y'all got Deuce Night. You don't have to tell us. We know y'all got Deuce Night. Auburn got something to be proud about.
Man, but we got the real Deuce.
Y'all. But y'all got Deuce Night, but y'all got a bunch of L's as well, right? Deuce. Like y'all lose left and right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, personally, I wouldn't be saying much if I was getting L's every weekend or every other weekend. Like, you see Florida State, they're quiet now, right? And rightfully so. We tried to tell them before the season started that they always have something to say before the season started, and then they silence of the lambs because they don't have nothing to talk about,
You never see Auburn play in a commercial. So why? That's the only NIL they get is up front.
Exactly. Charmin Ultra. You know, some type of tissue, Kleenex, all them tears. Like, y'all got Deuce Knight. Sir, do we need to go through and mention who all we got in them 100+ recruits that we had in Tuscaloosa for our game against Georgia? Like,
Notre Dame don't even care.
I mean, like, come on. Like, I mean, I understand that y'all want to have a moment, but a lot of y'all moments end in L's. So I would just kind of sit it out, you know. I mean, we don't mind you being in our chat, you know, but y'all got they play Georgia this weekend, right? Auburn.
They're talking about they got Duke Knight. We got Keelan Russell.
I know. Like what?
Oh yeah, Georgia gonna beat them by 50.
And this Georgia homecoming, I think, as well.
Ooh.
I believe it's their homecoming.
It'll be about 75 go to the dance.
I mean, it's gonna. You know what? It's gonna be like how Georgia beat Florida State in that bowl game.
Oh man!
Oh my goodness!
No. Yeah, cause Auburn players they gonna opt out.
I know. They gonna. Ain't that what Florida State did? It's like they're just gonna bow out.
We gonna opt out because we know we gonna get our ass whooping. Belt to ass. We gonna opt out that belt to ass. Hey man, Auburn lose like they tanking, don't they?
Yeah,
they losing like they tanking for something.
They tanking for Deuce.
They already got them.
Wait, we know about that Deuce. Throw them deuces up for Ryan Williams and Xavier Brown. See, that's what a deuce mean for us. That's a real deuce. That's a real deuce. What you mean?
We got the old English double deuce.
Like,
we started, man.
Don't get started now.
No, we started for real because I thought the Auburn fans, they raggedy self. I thought y'all was gonna sit this one out. Like it's almost. I mean, it just made. I guess they got a 24-hour rule as well, where they just kind of like suffer in silence for 24 hours and they wait for Wednesday. I'm gonna get on Crimson Dynasty and run my mouth, knowing we about to get another L. Like Georgia is gonna mollywop y'all this weekend. Like y'all have nothing to be proud of. That's horrible. Y'all like. Auburn is imploding right before our eyes. Florida State is imploding. I'm sure Roydell is like, why did I come down here? Like, y'all are disgusting. Yeah, deuces mean some way different in Tuscaloosa, Playboy.
Chris Williams, come get your foes out of our chat, Chris Williams.
I know, with they raggedy self. Trying to get in them buses going down the street on the road. You're like, what? Flying into the Atlanta airport like y'all somebody. Like, y'all.
They gonna catch that Greyhound to Athens. They gonna catch that Greyhound to Athens.
Yeah, tell Deuce to get ready to get thrown under the bus.
With them L's, that cloud of dust coming from behind the buses. I don't know what they thought this is. Look, we be trying to tell y'all gonna get roasted coming over here. I don't know how it works in them other shows and if they, you know, but we'll roast y'all over here because y'all are delusional. Like you can never compete. You can never.
Yeah.
So
he don't get on the bus. He get up under it when they load to go.
I know he going. Hey, that little section where they put the luggage. They gotta have a little ventilation down there.
I know what a quarterback ride.
I know. Hey. They're gonna put Peyton Thorne under there with all them interceptions.
Peyton Thorne will be like, I told you.
I know. Yeah, they just raggedy. I mean, we knew that going into the season, you know, but it's just pathetic, just like Florida State. So Florida State got Clemson this weekend, I believe. Maybe it's probably gonna be another L, even though it's at home. You know, it's just anyway. Yeah, I see the trolls quiet now. Y'all better stay quiet because it's Alabama. Anyway, well, this has been a great show. Shout out to our co-hosts. Y'all are awesome. Really appreciate it. And Alabama's we gonna just blow the roof off of this thing this weekend. Like I said, be sure to be here Be sure to be here for the post game show. And thank you for the love in the chat. And we'll see y'all next week. Another L for Florida State. Exactly. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Roll Tide, roll. Link.
Roll Tide.
Big Link, not the